Hello and welcome to the official sample paper 1 recording for the ITIL 4 Practitioner Service Level Management Certification Exam. We would like to first of all acknowledge PeopleCert and AXELOS as we have used their official materials and logos in this material. Firstly, about One World Training. We are a global training and consulting company having offices in USA, UK, the Netherlands, India, Malaysia, United Arab Emirates, South Africa, and many other countries globally. We provide training in information technology, business management, project management, ISO standards, GDPR, and many other topics for individuals and organizations. One World Training delivers courses in 5 different ways. Number 1, public classrooms. 2, online or virtual from your home or work. 3, self-paced e-learning. 4, a mix of self-paced e-learning along with support when you need. And 5, at the user's location on-site for both private and government organizations. We are authorized and endorsed by leading global professional bodies. And you can note that through the logos towards the bottom of this slide. So we are not only authorized by PeopleCert, but also by PMI, by Exen, and Gaming Works, and others. Apart from ITIL trainings, we also offer the other PeopleCert certifications trainings such as Prince2, Project in Controlled Environments, Prince2 Agile, Agile Shift, which is a transformation to Agile certificate, MSP, Managing Successful Programs, MOR, Management of Risk, MOP, Management of Portfolios, MOV, Management of Value, P3O, Project Program and Portfolio Office. And we have the other PeopleCert certifications which are related to the Service Desk Institute, such as the Service Desk Analyst and the Service Desk Manager. Then we have the PeopleCert DevOps, PeopleCert Scrum, Basic and Advanced, and PeopleCert Dev Skills, and the Lean IT and the Lean Six Sigma as well. And then we have the certifications, trainings for the Exin courses and the PMI courses as well. And we are also an AXELOS consulting partner for performing ITIL and P3M3 capability and maturity assessments for organizations and businesses. P3M3, it's a project program and portfolio management maturity model. And apart from that, we have the ITIL management maturity model assessment capability at One World Training. There are 2 sample papers, the official ones from PeopleCert. This is the recording for the paper 1. We have a separate recording for the paper 2 as well. And the sample papers are on the style of the actual exam. Of course, in the actual exam, you will have most likely other questions, not these questions only, or not these questions. And these are just giving an indication of the nature of the questions in the exam. And of course, these limited set of 20 questions in this sample paper will not cover the entire course. So the exam is for 30 minutes. It's 20 questions in the exam, and each question is worth 1 mark. There is no negative marking, and you need to answer at least 13 questions correctly to pass the exam. It's a closed book, and it'll be invigilated online by a proctor from PeopleCert, and all the questions are multiple choice questions. I will take you through these 20 questions, and I will allow you to think briefly for the answer from your end before I reveal and explain the answer. And another thing, if you're writing the exam in a language other than your spoken language, it'll be detected by the system based on your profile, and you will be given 25% additional time for the exam. So instead of 30 minutes, you will be given 38 minutes. So here we go with the 20 questions. Also, for some of the questions, I will take you through the practice guide for service level management to show you evidence of the correct answer. The first question, what is the purpose of service level management? There are 4 options listed, and one of them would be correct. A, ensure that the services are managed against targets that relate to customers' outcomes. B, ensure a customer's contractual terms and conditions are met. C, ensure that service targets can be maintained by existing technical resources. Or D, ensure that the service provider's targets are communicated to the customer and levels of service are maximized at all times. I will be pausing momentarily so that you can think about the correct answer before I reveal and explain the answer. So for this, you need to recollect the purpose of service level management, and which is to set clear business-based targets for service utility, warranty, and experience, and to ensure that service delivery and use is properly assessed, monitored, and managed against those targets. Note the business-based targets rather than just technical targets. Traditionally, from my experience, I've seen there used to be a lot of technical targets such as time taken to resolve an incident and so on. While those are still valid from a business perspective, but businesses expect better targets such as application downtime should not impact their revenues and so on. So it can become challenging to manage the services against business-based targets. And option A, ensure that the services are managed against targets that relate to customers' outcomes. So definitely this is related to the business-based targets. Therefore, A would be correct. The second one here, B, of course, this will go into the contract, the targets, but the purpose of this practice is not related to handling the contractual terms and conditions. So B is incorrect. Option C, ensuring that the targets can be maintained by existing technical resources. Again, that is not a purpose of the practice. However, existing resources or even new resources may be required to achieve the purpose of the practice. And then the last one, that the targets are communicated to the customer and the service levels are maximized. Now, in this case, the service levels need to be agreed between the customer and the service provider. These are not imposed by the provider on the customer. Therefore, B is not, the last option D is not fully correct. So we will remain with option A, the correct answer. Question number 2. Service level management have received a service improvement suggestion initiated by a customer. How should the suggestion be handled? A, allocate the suggestion to the appropriate team for implementation and notify the customer. B, log the suggestion and wait for the customer to complete their own service review. C, ensure that the team responsible for the service reviews the customer suggestion as soon as possible, meaning the team will review the suggestion ASAP. And D, request the service level manager to review and raise improvements to the practice. So the improvement suggestion has been initiated by a customer. Option A, allocating to the appropriate team. This will be done, of course, and notifying the customer. However, it seems here that the customer is not involved in the improvement planning. They should be actually involved rather than being notified after the implementation. Whenever improvements are triggered by customer or user feedback or during the joint service reviews, it is important to ensure the transparency of the improvement plans, the progress, and the results for the customers and users. And in this case, it is just about the implementation being communicated. Of course, and assigned to the team. So A is not fully okay. Option B, logging the suggestion and waiting for customer to complete their own service review. It is possible that the customer already performed the internal review and therefore has raised a suggestion with the service provider. Therefore, B is also not correct. And option C, ensure that the team responsible for the service reviews this suggestion as soon as possible. This seems to be good because it is important to ensure that the service improvements are not only initiated, but also effectively implemented. And most service improvement initiatives are owned by a person who is accountable for the product or the service. Typically, they are the product owner or the service owner. So therefore, that team, through the product owner or the service owner, will review the suggestion as soon as possible. And then they will take the next step of planning the improvement, tracking the progress, and completing the improvement while keeping the customer informed. So C would be correct. The last option, D, requesting the service level manager to review and raise the improvements to the practice. This seems to indicate the improvement to the practice, whereas the customer has only asked to improve the service and not the practice. Though it is likely that the service level manager will be involved in the improvement to the practice if there is no separate practice owner. So C would be correct. The next question, number 3. What metric should be used to measure the PSF, establishing a shared view of the target service levels with customers? A, proportion of services monitored on the real-time portal. B, number of problem resolutions that resulted in implemented improvements. C, the level of satisfaction with review meetings held with customers. Or D, percentage of documented agreements discussed with customers within agreed timescale. Note carefully, this is the PSF of establishing a shared view. This is about the initial discussions, negotiations, and agreement on the service level targets. You should also recollect the other practice success factors. There are a total of 4 practice success factors in this practice. The first one, the service is being monitored. This is related to the PSF of overseeing how the organization meets the defined service levels, in which one of the metrics is the percentage of the services or SLAs with dashboards for the service level monitoring. So A would be incorrect. The second one is related to the PSF of capturing and reporting on improvement opportunities, because we see in B the number of problem resolutions that resulted in implemented improvements. And this is related to the service improvement productivity metric for the PSF, which is based on the number of initiated improvements and successfully implemented improvements during that period. So B is also incorrect. Option C, the level of satisfaction with review meetings held with customer. This one is associated with the PSF performing service reviews, because one of the metrics for this PSF is the stakeholder satisfaction with the service reviews. So C is also incorrect. Therefore, we are left with D, which should be correct. Percentage of documented agreements discussed with customers within agreed timescale. One of the metrics of the establishing a shared view of the target service levels with customers is the percentage of SLAs that are overdue for review. So which means it's, in this case, we see discussed with customers, and then the other one is which are overdue for review. So therefore, this would be the correct one. So note that this is not the service review we are talking about. It is the percentage of the service level agreements that are overdue for review, and not the service review itself. Because if it's a service review thing, it'll come under the other PSF of the service review PSF. And let's also take a look at the practice guide for this. The practice guide will be accessible either through the PeopleCert account that you have, and or through the bookshelf app. We have a separate recording on how to access the practice guide, and the same recording explains how you can book the exam, also using the same exam voucher code given to you by us. So I'm in the practice guide through my bookshelf app rather than logging into my PeopleCert account, because I can see this even when I'm offline, not connected to the network. And if you look at this 2.5 section key metrics and the table 2.3, we see here the first entry, establishing a shared view, and the second metric here, percentage of SLAs that are overdue for review. So therefore, that is the evidence for the correct answer. The agreements discussed with customers with agreed timescale or within agreed timescale. We move on to question number 4. The service level manager has discovered that there is confusion within technical teams regarding their understanding of service quality. What is the best way for the manager to explain the term, the service quality term, that is? A, the measurements that indicate that the service is meeting its targets. B, all the aspects of a service necessary to provide customer satisfaction. C, the ability of a service to be fit for purpose. D, the management of the technical components that contribute to service performance. You need to differentiate between service quality and service level in particular. So option A, the measurements that indicate that the service is meeting its targets, that is the service level. Service level is one or more metrics that define expected or achieved service quality. Option B, all the aspects of a service And that is the service quality, because that is a totality of the characteristics of a service that are relevant to its ability to satisfy stated and implied needs. So B is correct. Option C, this is the definition of utility, the ability of a service to be fit for purpose, which is about the functionality offered by a product or service to meet a particular need. Option D, this is an example or the definition of the warranty, the management of the technical components that contribute to service performance, because warranty is the assurance that a product or service will meet agreed requirements, which includes availability, capacity, continuity, security, and performance. Therefore, B would be correct. Particularly, we need to be cautious to differentiate between A and B. A is service level and B is service quality.